STS-88 was the first Space Shuttle mission to the International Space Station. It was flown by Space Shuttle Endeavour and took the first American module, the Unity node, to the station. The 7-day mission was highlighted by the mating of the U.S.-built Unity node to the functional cargo block already in orbit, and 3 spacewalks to connect power and data transmission cables between the node and the FCB.Zarya, built by Boeing and the Russian Space Agency, was launched on a Russian Proton rocket from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan in November 1998. Other payloads on the STS-88 mission included the IMAX cargo bay camera, the Argentine Scientific Applications Satellite S, the mighty Sat-1 hitchhiker payload, the Space Experiment Module and Getaway Special G093 sponsored by the University of Michigan. Crew launch attempts. Mission highlights. Node 1, named Unity, was the first space station hardware delivered by the Space Shuttle. It has 2 pressurized mating adapters, one attached to either end. One PMA is permanently mated to Zarya, and the other is used for orbiter dockings and crew access to the station. Unity also contains an international standard payload rack used to support on-orbit activities, which was activated after the 5th shuttle station assembly flight. To begin the assembly sequence, a crew conducted a series of rendezvous maneuvers similar to those conducted on other shuttle missions to reach the orbiting FGB. On the way, Curry used the shuttle's robot arm to place Node 1 atop the orbiter docking system. Cabana completed the rendezvous by flying Endeavour to within 10 meters of the FGB, allowing Curry to capture the FGB with the robot arm and place it on the node's pressurized mating adapter. Once the 2 elements were docked, Ross and Newman conducted 2 scheduled spacewalks to connect power and data cables between the node, PMAs and the FGB. The day following the spacewalks, Endeavour undocked from the 2 components, completing the first space station assembly mission. Endeavour's astronauts toured the new International Space Station on the 11th of December 1998, entering the Unity and Zarya modules for the first time, and establishing an S-band communications system that enables flight controllers to monitor the outpost systems, reflecting the international cooperation involved in building the largest space complex in history. Commander Robert Cabana and Russian cosmonaut Sergei Krikalev opened the hatch to the U.S.-built Unity connecting module and floated into the new station together. The rest of the crew followed and began turning on lights and unstowing gear in the roomy hub to which other modules would be connected in the future. Each passageway within Unity was marked by a sign leading the way into tunnels to which new modules would later be connected. About an hour later, Robert Cabana and Sergei Krikalev opened the hatch to the Russian-built Zarya control module, which was the nerve center for the station in its embryonic stage. Joined by pilot Frederick Sturkov and mission specialists Jerry Ross, James H. Newman and Nancy Curry, Cabana and Krikalev hailed the historic entrance into the International Space Station and said the hatch opening signified the start of a new era in space exploration. Ross and Newman went right to work in Unity, completing the assembly of an early S-band communications system that allows flight controllers in Houston to send commands to Unity's systems and to keep tabs on the health of the station with a more extensive communications capability than exists through Russian ground stations. The astronauts also conducted a successful test of the video conferencing capability of the early communications system, which was used by the first crew to permanently occupy the station in November 2000. Newman downlinked greetings to controllers in the station flight control room in Houston. Houston and to astronaut Bill Shepard, who commanded the first crew and lived aboard the station with Creek 11 cosmonaut Yuri Gudzenko. Creek 11 Curie replaced a faulty unit in Zarya which controlled the discharging of stored energy from one of the module's 6 batteries. The battery had not been working properly in its automatic configuration, but the new unit was functioning normally shortly after it was installed. The astronauts also unstowed hardware and logistical supplies stored behind panels in Zarya, relocating the items for use by the shuttle crew that was to visit the station in May 1999 and by Shepard's expedition crew. The astronauts also completed their initial outfitting of the station. The hatches to Zarya and Unity were closed before Endeavour undocked from the new station, leaving the new complex to orbit the Earth unpiloted. Mission timeline. Launch preparations. At 12:15 a.m. EST on Monday, the 23rd of June 1997, an Air Force C-5 air cargo plane arrived at the shuttle landing facility carrying Unity. On the 1st of February 1998, Endeavour was towed to Orbiter Processing Facility Bay 1. On the 15th of October 1998, Endeavour was moved from Orbiter Processing Facility Bay 1 to the Vehicle Assembly Building. On the 21st of October 1998, Endeavour was transported atop the crawler transporter to Kennedy Space Center's Launchpad 39A. 3 to 4 December, Space Shuttle Endeavour launched at 3 hours 35 minutes and 34 seconds east from the Kennedy Space Center's Launchpad 39A. STS-88 was the first shuttle flight to the International Space Station. After launch, the crew opened the shuttle's payload bay doors, deployed the Ku-band antenna, and activated the shuttle's hitchhiker payload. A crew also started preparing for the multiple engine firings that will be performed to bring Shuttle Endeavour within the shuttle remote manipulator system's reach of the Zarya FGB. At launch, Zarya was 240 statute miles above the Kennedy Space Center, and the module was on its 222nd orbit of the Earth since its launch. The 4th of December, on Flight Day 2, a crew of Shuttle Endeavour performed several tasks to get ready for the docking on Sunday and the extravehicular activities to be completed on the mission. Nancy Currie conducted a photo survey of Unity and Endeavour's payload bay using the shuttle's robotic arm, Canadarm. Jerry Ross and Jim Newman checked out the spacesuits they would use on the 3 EVAS and prepared the shuttle's airlock for use during the spacewalks. Rick Sturkov, who would be choreographing the EVAS from inside the shuttle, joined Ross and Newman to check out the safety units to be worn during the spacewalks in case Ross and Newman were to become separated from Endeavour during one of the spacewalks. The 5th of December, on Flight Day 3, Currie used Canadarm to grapple and place Unity onto the orbiter docking system at 6:45 p.m. EST. A crew pressurized PMA-2 and entered it. They put several caps over vent valves to prepare for the entrance into Unity later in the week. Commander Bob Cabana performed a debris avoidance maneuver to move Endeavour out of the way of a casing from a Delta II rocket that launched on 6 November from Vandenberg Air Force Base in California. The 6th of December, on Flight Day 4, Bob Cabana fired Endeavour's rockets several times to maneuver the shuttle within Canadarm's reach of the Zarya FGB. At 6:47 p.m. EST, Currie grappled Zarya. Later, at 9:07 p.m. EST, Cabana fired Endeavour's downward jets to bring the two modules together. The 7th of December, during a 7-hour, 21-minute Flight Day 5 spacewalk, astronauts Jerry Ross and Jim Newman helped activate the Unity node, the first module to the U.S. segment of the International Space Station. They connected 40 connectors and cables running along the 35-ton, 76-foot-tall space station. At 10:49 p.m. EST, flight controllers in Houston saw Unity's systems come on. The 8th of December, on the sixth day of Endeavour's STS-88 mission specialists Jerry Ross and Jim Newman relaxed after the long spacewalk on Flight Day 5. Ross, Newman, Nancy Curry, and Sergei Krikalev prepared equipment for Flight Day 7. EVA. Commander Bob Cabana and pilot Rick Sturkov fired Endeavour's main reaction control system jets for 22 minutes to raise the ISS approximately 51/2 statute miles. A crew conducted interviews with ABC News, Discovery Channel, and MSNBC. The 9th of December, at 3:33 p.m. EST, mission specialists Jerry Ross and Jim Newman commenced on a 7-hour, 2-minute EVA to continue the installation of Unity. The two spacewalkers first installed two antennas on the outside of Unity. The astronauts also removed launch restraint pins on the four radial common berthing mechanisms of Unity. They installed covers on Unity's two data relay boxes to protect them from sunlight. Lastly, Newman freed a backup rendezvous system antenna on the Zarya FGB. The 10th of December, Flight Day 8 was a historic day as the International Space Station was opened for the first time on orbit. At 2:54 p.m. EST, Commander Bob Cabana and Russian cosmonaut Sergei Krikalev opened the hatch to the Unity node of the new International Space Station. The other members of the crew started unstowing gear and turning on the lights. At 4:12 p.m. EST, Cabana and Krikalev opened the hatch into Zarya. Jerry Ross and Jim Newman assembled a S-band communications system in Unity, and Krikalev and Nancy Curry replaced a problematic battery discharging unit in Zarya. The 11th of December, on Flight Day 9, pilot Rick Sturkov and mission specialist Nancy Curry continued unstowing hardware in Unity. After turning off the lights, the crew later closed the hatches to Zarya and Unity. A crew prepared for the mission's third and final spacewalk on Flight Day 10. Endeavour's crew also conducted interviews with CNN and CBS News. The 12th of December, at 3:33 p.m. EST, astronauts Jerry Ross and Jim Newman commenced on a 6-hour, 59-minute EVA to finish the installation of the Unity node to Zarya. The two stowed tools on the side of Unity to prepare for the spacewalks on STS-86, the next mission to the ISS. Ross also freed another antenna on Zarya, similar to the one Newman freed on EVA 2. The spacewalkers also tested the redesigned safer jetpacks to be used in the event an astronaut became separated from the spacecraft during a spacewalk. After the EVA, pilot Rick Sturkov depressurized the vestibule between Endeavour and PMA-2 to prepare for the undocking of the two spacecraft on Flight Day 11. The 13th of December, on Flight Day 11, Space Shuttle Endeavour undocked from the International Space Station. At 3:25 p.m. EST, pilot Rick Sturkov backed Endeavour 450 feet away from the station and started a nose-forward fly-around of the station, so that Endeavour's crew could take pictures of the space station. At 4:49 p.m. EST, Sturkov performed a final separation burn. Later, the crew deployed SAC-A, a small satellite for the Argentinian National Commission of Space Activities. The 14th of December, on the last full day on orbit, Endeavour's crew deployed a small Air Force satellite called MIGHTYS-81. A crew tested Endeavour's shuttle's aero surfaces and steering jets to be used on landing day and stowed equipment. The 15th of December Flight Day 13 was landing day for Space Shuttle Endeavour and its crew of 6. At 7:07 p.m. EST, Endeavour's payload bay doors were closed for entry. Flight Director John Shannon gave the go for Endeavour's crew to fire the orbital maneuvering system engines for the deorbit burn at 9:46 p.m. EST so that Endeavour could slow down to enter the Earth's atmosphere. At 10:54 p.m. EST, Endeavour and crew landed on the Kennedy Space Center's runway 15. Endeavour wrapped up a 4.7 million-mile mission, and the first to the International Space Station. Extravehicular activity. 3 extravehicular activity spacewalks were scheduled and completed during STS-88. Media.